welcome, No Stone Unturned. I am so happy that you came here today. Get ready to be informed, people, because I have my friend, my brother, Mr. Ray Charles from Metro Health, who's in the building, who came to inform us today, give us a little information. So thank you so much for being here, Mr. Charles.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for coming to inform us, give us the nitty-gritty on what's going on right now. Now, there is a measles thing that's going on, and it's kind of spreading kind of rapidly. Yeah. Tell us how we can get ahead of this thing, or are we already too far behind? Give us some information.
Well, here's what's going on. We have a virus epidemic. Well, it's not at epidemic proportion yet.
Okay.
But we're traveling down that road.
Got it.
Currently in West Texas, and it started with a small group of folks that were kind of like isolated from the regular community.
Okay.
One of their kids apparently came in contact with somebody that had the measles.
Okay.
These folks apparently did not believe in vaccinating their kids. So that one isolated incident rapidly increased, and now we're at a state, according to the CDC information that was given out this past Friday, there are 325 cases of measles in West Texas. You've had one child to die from the situation and one adult. You have an updated case in New Mexico, which is next door to Texas. They went from 23 cases, now they have 43 cases. They also have an adult that has passed away because this person was not properly vaccinated. In addition to that, this thing has spread to the point where we currently have 19 other states where there are at least 10 or more cases of the measles outbreak. So this thing is starting to get out of hand.
Yeah. So another state that's right on next door, knocking
and
Texas.
we're right here. Right now, the state of Louisiana has not shown any cases of measles outbreak or anything of this nature. We want to keep it that way. My word to the people is, look, do everything that you can to protect your children. Even if you have some personal beliefs about these vaccines or some of these conspiracy theories that I've heard, because folks are kicking this little thing around about the vaccine causes autism. That's not true. That whole situation was debunked back in 1998. It was proved by CDC and a group of scientists that did an in-depth study that the vaccine does not cause autism. It's just so happened that when your child starts to exhibit the traits of autism, it's usually around about 1.5 to 2 years old, and that's usually the time when your children go through the transition of starting to get their vaccines. So it's just a coincidence. But you're going to always have somebody out there that does not want to take the responsibility of saying that somebody in the family has a defective gene. So rather than go down that road, they've jumped on this little wagon that, well, it has to be the vaccine, so we're not going to get the kids vaccinated. And you see what the end result of that is. So for the folks in the state of Louisiana, we are begging you, make sure you take care of your babies, make sure that they are properly vaccinated, because we don't need these kind of problems. You have enough problems going on as it is.
That is true. So I did a little reading, and I've found that the MMR vaccine is what is needed for the effectiveness of the prevention of the measles,
yes,
correct?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So you told me something that was fascinating. I didn't know. It's two.
Yes, ma'am.
It's two. So it's
two
not
shots.
just one. So explain to us how that procedure goes.
Okay, well, usually when they get ready to give kids their vaccines, they usually start out when the child is about 2 months old. Okay, so if you was to get the first shot would give the child 93% immunity.
Okay.
When they get the second shot 2 months later, the second shot gives the child 97% immunity. Plus, now that you've gotten both shots, the body builds up the antibodies that's needed to fight against it. So if you come in contact with the disease at a later date or later time in life, you don't have to get revaccinated because it's already in your system. Your body has already built up the necessary antibodies to fight against it. So when it sees it, it knows what it is, and it's going to automatically go into red alert and do what it has to do to protect you. So I'm just not understanding why parents would not want to have that type of protection, not only for their child, but for themselves, because as I stated, you have 2 adults that have also passed away from this, one in New Mexico and one in Texas. So apparently neither one of them was vaccinated.
True. What does measles really look like? Like what are the signs or side effects? How will we know?
Well, measles, you get these little red blotches on your skin.
Okay.
And you're going to get that irritation, you're going to get that swelling, you're going to get flu-like symptoms. It is irritable, so you have that scratching going on.
Okay. Is it similar to chicken pox?
Kind of, sort of, but it's more deadlier. And so that's one of the reasons why you don't want to ignore it. And because it does simulate some of the same symptoms of chicken pox, it's important that you take your child to the doctor or to a physician and have them thoroughly checked, because you don't want to be I know a lot of parents like to do these home remedies, but when you're dealing with something, but when you're dealing with something that's a little bit over your head, it's better for you to take your child to the clinic or to the physician and have them thoroughly checked, because you can miss something, and then you don't have the experience that doctors have. You don't have the tests that doctors are going to run. So you're guessing. They're going to give you factual information. And so the only thing that I can tell folks is, look, don't guess with your child's life, because you can guess wrong. And remember, you have a parent that had to bury their child because they guessed wrong.
That is so true. Like I was speaking with Miss Shirley about the importance of even having a PCP, having some primary care physician. That's a good thing for Metro Health and having Metro Health in the community as well, because it's a lot of people in our community who really don't have a primary care doctor.
Yes,
true. To even go to and say, this doesn't look right, this might be different, and then they feel like they can use that excuse to do the at-home doctoring, But now when we're thinking about it and the immunizations that are needed, just to be able to have a preventative lifestyle, that goes beyond just the measles or the mumps. Being preventive, we prevent. That's why we wear a seatbelt. That's why we do all of these things to prevent from a tragedy happening.
Oh, most definitely. Now I'll say this, since we're talking about prevention, we still have an issue with COVID.
Come on, tell the truth.
I think people got overwhelmed with COVID for those 2 years that we were wearing the masks and everybody had to keep the safe distances. But what folks fail to realize is that diseases within this country fell like 40% because everybody was wearing a mask and they was washing their hands. Now, because we have the vaccine, folks have gotten a little bit too relaxed. Look, if we had gotten at least 75 to 80% of the nation vaccinated, then we could have nipped this thing in the bud and COVID would not be a problem, just like the measles, mumps, and rubella. But because less than 50% of the nation got vaccinated, COVID is going to be around just like the flu. And right now, the numbers are back on the rise because folks they got happy, I guess. I don't know what's going on, but they ain't got comfortable. They're not getting their booster shots. COVID is back on the rise, and I'm here to tell you, COVID is real. I had it. I don't ever want to deal with it again. It was a situation where, much like a lot of the folks out there, I got comfortable. I went to a Saints game, decided that I'm gonna have. I was with the guys, and we're gonna have a good time. I had my mask, didn't put it on. Sitting amongst 72,000 people, high-fiving and the whole night. Somebody in that crowd that I was contacting with had COVID. When I came home that night, the next morning, I felt like an elephant was sitting in my chest.
Just that fast.
Just that fast. And so for 4 days, I suffered with COVID. Now, here's the thing. Because I had the vaccine and I had it in my system, it didn't kill me. It just made me suffer. So I can only imagine what folks was going through when the vaccine wasn't here.
That's right.
Because it attacks your lungs and you can't breathe. Every breath that I took felt like it was my last. And I wouldn't want anybody to go through that. So if you already have respiratory issues and you get COVID, you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, and that's why I did. It was very alarming in South Baton Rouge because we already did, like you said, with the pollen and the air supply and all those other things, the chemical plants and all of those things that we are consuming on a daily basis. You bring COVID in there, we fighting for our lives.
And now we're dealing with RSV, which is another respiratory disease
that
that
hurt
attacks
the babies. The babies
and
are
it attacks
feeling
the
bad.
babies and the elderly. And unfortunately, those are the two most vulnerable groups. And the RSV thing popped up as they were trying to deal with the COVID situation.
That is so true. That's so true.
So it kind of piggybacked off of each other. And the crazy thing about it is that the COVID, RSV, and the flu all have similar symptoms. So you can't self-diagnose this. And that's the unfortunate thing with folks, you know, something will happen or they're not feeling good, and rather than go get a COVID test, so you want to rule that out. Because the only way you're going to know if you got it or not is if you get tested or you get that self-test. So if you don't do that and you sit there going, well, I got fever and I'm sweating and I got aches and pains, oh, it's the flu. You think it's the flu.
Yeah.
And it's COVID, because I thought it was the flu. I told my wife, I said, I think I got the flu. She said, take the test. I said, but see, I really didn't want to know.
Tell the truth.
I really didn't want to know. But I took the test, and when them double lines popped up, I was like, oh, Lord, I got COVID. But had I not taken the test, I would have been trying to convince myself that I had the flu, and I would have been most likely passing it on to somebody else, because you have to isolate yourself. It's an airborne disease, much like the flu. That's why they tell you, the doctors tell you, if you're sick, you've been diagnosed, stay home.
Yeah.
Because you go to work and you get all of your coworkers sick. That's not going to work.
No, it's not. Is there RSV? RSV has a vaccine as well.
Yes, there's a shot for RSV. Usually, you're looking at seniors that are between the ages of 65 and older, because that's when it really starts to affect them. And I think what happens is when you get to be around 64, 65, you know, you get a slight breakdown in your immune system. Well, you know, and RSV slides right on in there and it attacks you. So we try to encourage our seniors. We had a good turnout at both the Leo S. Butler Center and the Martin Luther King Center when we vaccinated our seniors a few months ago. And so I'm happy to say we did everything we could to make sure they were safe.
That's a blessing.
So they were offered the COVID vaccine. They were offered RSV if they wanted it, and they also was offered the flu shot. And as an extra added bonus, if they got COVID, they got the COVID vaccine, they were given a $25 Visa gift card, and everybody could use a little gas money.
I'm not mad at that. Okay. As the MMR vaccine.
Yes, ma'am.
Does it have any of the side effects kind of like the COVID vaccine? You know, sometimes you had the soreness of the arm. Sometimes the COVID vaccine kind of made you, I don't know.
Well,
sometimes some people say they got a little nauseated.
Yeah,
or something
you'll get a little nausea. You'll get soreness of the arm. It may give you a slight fever.
Okay.
So those are definitely some of the symptoms, and it will make you irritable, because I mean, you know, you getting that shot in your arm,
okay,
and you already, if you're not sore, it's going to make you sore. And so a lot of folks, you know, they sleep on their arms, particularly with the babies. You know, they have a tendency to roll over. So we try to advise the parents what the side effects are, so they'll know exactly what they need to try to combat it. You know, let them know, hey, look, when you go to lay the baby down, you may have to put like a little cushion under him, so that if he rolls over on his arm, his body's not bearing that full weight. Well, it's the same thing with an adult. If you're getting that shot, and we usually tell them, hey, look, you might have some soreness. It's going to be irritable. It's going to be red. You may get a little stuffiness in the sinus. So we're letting you know ahead of time, and you might be a little nauseated. And we'll tell them what they need to do to kind of combat these symptoms so that they don't get discouraged. Because I don't want you to get discouraged because the shot, made you a little irritable and a little sore. You got to look at it from a long-term perspective. Exactly. The shot is healing the body and putting you in a situation where if you come in contact with this again, it won't be deadly for you.
That's good.
So I'd rather you be irritated for a couple of days.
That's right. And save your life.
Yeah, there you go.
And with the vaccine, just like many other vaccines, a lot of times I can say, just going from the doctor and experience and just being a mom and going to the doctor myself, they tell us, okay, well, it's time for your child to get this vaccine. It's time for your child is this age. It's time for that one. I don't think they say, so will we have to ask for MMR? Like, I want to be vaccinated for that? Or will they tell us? Is that one that is mandated almost?
It's mandated because you have to have, your child have to have a certain amount of vaccinations
to go to school
before they can go to Head Start. So MMR is one of them.
Okay.
MMR is one of them. It's on that list. Remember I told you they start vaccinating the child when they're 2 months old.
Yes, sir.
So the biggest thing is the parent has to follow through, because the doctors is going to tell you when you leave the clinic, okay, your baby just had this shot, and this shot.
Right.
And there are certain shots that come in double doses. So you can't give the baby both shots at the same time. So they'll tell you within 2 months, you need to bring little Johnny back so that he can get his second shot, as well as this shot, this shot, and this shot.
Okay.
Now it's up to the parents to follow through. And I try to tell them all the time, as many of them as I come in contact with, that's your most precious gift.
Yeah.
You got to take care of it in a way that is going to make sure that this child gets the very best care. Because if you start skipping those doctor's appointments, then you get behind, and you don't want to try to play catch up, because when the child goes to school, you don't know who your child is coming in contact with.
That's true.
And a lot of parents send the kids to school sick.
Does the body go through different? I'm sure it probably would if I'm trying to play catch up, or if I'm late on the vaccine, or I'm doubling up.
Well, what that does is, in some cases, they may be able to cut the weeks down. So let's say you were supposed to come back in 2 months, and you end up missing it. So they're gonna hurry up and give you that vaccine to play catch up, but rather than wait 2 more months, they'll cut it down and say, you come back in 6 weeks.
I gotcha.
Because what they're trying to do is get you back on schedule, get the child back on schedule.
Gotcha. You've been so informative, Mr. Ray. I mean, every time I ask you a question, you give me something else that I want to dive into and get to know.
I just want my people to understand that, Metro Health is here to help them. Metro Health is here to make sure that they say, we're trying to fill the gap between what they have and what they don't have, and what the government is supposed to do. And we already know that the government doesn't always do what they're supposed to do. So we just trying to make sure that our people are going to be all right.
That's not funny. Absolutely. Any last words that you want to leave with no stone unturned? Anything that you want to lay on their hearts?
I just like to say that, hey, look, for the parents out there, make sure you take care of yourself. That's first. Then second of all, make sure that you take care of your children. And even if you have some type of issue with a particular vaccine or a particular theory about something,
right,
I'm not going to try to change your personal beliefs. I'm just going to simply say this. If you choose as an adult not to get vaccinated, that's your choice. We respect that. Don't push that off on your child because they don't have any say. They go by what you do. So if you don't protect them from all these diseases and viruses that's out there, that falls dead at your feet. You won't have anybody to blame but you, because even if you don't necessarily have the financial means, we're gonna fill the gap. We're gonna make sure that child is taken care of. So you won't be able to use that as an excuse, because we deal with the uninsured.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you so much. Mr. Ray, tell the people where they can find you. If they need some help, if I need information about MMR vaccines, if I need Metro Health information, where can I find you?
Well, my office is located inside the McKinley Alumni Center.
Okay.
And that's at 1520 Thomas Delpy Drive. I'm up on the second floor, room 225. You can contact me at Metro Health 225-338-9333. If need be, if you can't reach me there, you can contact me on my personal cell, 225-268-1577. Hey, it stays on all the time. If you call, we're gonna answer. As Ms. Shirley said, our job is to meet the people where they are, and we try to do everything that we can to make sure that our community is well represented and well taken care of.
Man, thank y'all so much. Thank you for everything that y'all do. And thank you for informing us, coming to know Stone Unturned, and being such a blessing. Thank you.
Oh, it's a blessing. I appreciate having the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Y'all know where to find us, No Stone Unturned, on all our various streaming platforms. Until next time, everybody. Bye.